Welcome back to our ADIPEC on Air podcast series, live from the Wood Stand. My name is Steph and I'm your host this afternoon. I'm joined by my colleague Peter Carydias, Global Customer Success Manager at Wood, to decode the value of digital twin and in particular the development of a blueprint concept that unlocks substantial value, paving the way for optimized capital projects and enhanced performance. So welcome, Peter. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, great to be here.
Great. So digital twin, definitely a buzzword and a bit of a buzz concept in the digital space. How has the concept as a whole impacted our industry?
Yeah, so the word digital twin, we can think of it, it can be considered to be many different things. We have, some people say we have an engineering digital twin where we design and construct assets, and others talk about an operational digital twin where we operate and maintain assets. What we've seen from our work recently, the biggest impacts that the digital twin concept has had on our projects and our clients' businesses is that it facilitates the implementation of better capital projects and extracts more value operations. And it does this because it facilitates the orchestration of all this disparate data and information into a place, and then applies a structured approach to extract value from that information to ultimately produce safer, more productive, less emissions intense assets.
So it incorporates a lot, I guess. It covers a broad spectrum of things, is what I think what you're saying.
Yeah, it's in one of our papers we talk about it being the secret sauce, the implementation being the secret sauce. So Okay.
Well, at Wood, one of our key cutting drivers is digitalization and working alongside our clients to deliver real value. And I know you and your team have been working with a major energy company here in the Middle East to develop a blueprint concept to optimize assets across the life cycle. Can you talk us through the original challenge and how you got to the idea of the blueprint concept? Bit of background?
Yeah, so our customer, our Middle Eastern customer, gave us the challenge and said, how can you use digital twin as a concept to deliver the maximum value to our business through the capital projects that we're working on with you? And we basically looked at the value pools, as we call them, so the opportunities, like how do you get value from a capital project in general, so faster execution, safer execution, cheaper execution, and then we looked at how digital could influence those value levers.
Okay.
And by doing it that way, we arrived at the top opportunities to build into our digital twin to maximize the value that we can deliver to the capital project portfolio. And that resulted in the blueprint that...
Excellent. Okay, so I guess we know that data drives value because knowledge is power at the end of the day. But how are we utilizing the data that we're getting from the digital twin concept to really unlock the value for the client in this particular case?
So the way the blueprint works is it works in three ways. It's starting early, building a structured approach, and then using a structured data approach, and then looking at the whole life cycle value of how you leverage that structured data to change the way you act on your project. So an example of the value that delivered on the first project was by using this approach, we identified over 8,000 inconsistencies between data sources in the capital project, and we identified these early enough that we could mitigate them before packages were let to the EPCs. And we projected that because we'd mitigate this together with the customer, we projected that because we mitigated this early, we'd saved over $1 billion in CapEx, which would have been impacted if we'd progressed with those inconsistencies.
And is that value prop, I guess, something that you see that the blueprint would be able to do for other clients in the future? Like, what's the next steps for it?
Yeah, sure. So again, it's starting early and getting this set up really early in the project, building a data structured blueprint, and then exploiting that over the life cycle. So that concept, the blueprint, we are now taking to 5 or more capital projects immediately. And that blueprint is directly translatable to really any production asset, large capital project that produces a resource, really, or particularly in the process industry.
And is that 5 capital projects with the same client, or is it something that you're broadening?
Yeah, so 5 capital projects immediately with the same client, and then we're also talking to a couple of other clients.
So I guess the client that we are working with is really seeing the true value of what digital twin can bring to their operations, and now seeing, financially what that value is bringing.
For sure. So back to that's 8,000 plus inconsistencies. Together with the client, we mitigated over about 30% of these in the first few months of identifying them, and that showed the large value potential in capital expenditure reduction that $1 billion figure came from, and the customer saw the value in that and is now working with us to expand that concept across all their capital projects.
And I guess you kind of touched on it there, but timeline from original conversation, challenge being met, to really seeing the value. How long does it take to implement something like a digital twin concept?
So there was the 2 phases to it. There's the advisory bit up front and then the implementation. So in the advisory piece, we worked with this client over a period of about 3 to 4 months to identify where the value is, understand the opportunities, prioritize the opportunities, and commit to what we'd implement as the digital twin. Yeah. Subsequently, the implementation. So those benefits in CapEx can be seen in probably about fixing the inconsistencies in the capital project. That implementation was probably about 6 months. But if you think about it, the decisions that you've made and the changes you're now implementing on the asset base extract value every single year that asset produces a resource. So yes, you get the big, you get your first fruit in the first 6 to 12 months, and then you extract in the region of the size of the projects in this region, you can get over $100 million per annum out of operational benefits from implementation over.
There's definitely a longer term gain. And I guess once you've implemented this technology into the way that you're optimizing your asset, it's something that the client would continue to do and continue to use.
So out of this work comes, so basically we together with the client came up with 300 opportunities to use digital to transform the asset.
Great.
We whittled them down to about, once we assessed the value potential on the asset, we reduced them to about 30 that were we saw high value. And then together with the client, we workshopped to write 10 business cases that we wanted to drive forward. So some of these are part of the blueprint was one of these, but there's others that extract value in operations that will be implemented over the 20, 30, 40-year life of this asset and continuously add value to the bottom line of that asset.
Yeah, so kind of endless opportunities, really, when you think about digital twin and the value it can bring to companies over lots of different aspects of their life cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Okay. I guess the theme of ADIPEC this year is decarbonizing faster together. And this is a question that we're asking all of our podcast participants.
Sure.
Just to kind of round everything off. So we know as an industry, we're already working to decarbonize. But what is the one thing you think we need to do better to get there faster?
Brilliant. So many of our clients, well, almost all of our clients have an emissions intensity reduction target. So if you think of at this conference, we have commitments of around 30% emissions intensity reduction from existing assets. My one point to make is let's get ahead of this right now and use digital to extract the 10 to 20% of emissions intensity that we can get out right now by optimizing our assets. And then when we get that 10 or 20% of benefit immediately, which they're high NPV, they stand alone as being great projects, We take that cash flow and political capital to then invest in the bigger bets like carbon capture and storage and electrification, and we unlock those over the medium term. So my one message is get ahead of these using digital to optimize assets right now and get your 10 or 20% emissions density out, and then use that to get on with the bigger bets.
Great answer. Great answer. And thank you very much for your insights. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Great. Thanks, Steph. Appreciate it.